Yes, people, what's going on? Welcome back to Football Therapy with me, your host, Jan. I hope you're doing well. I do hope that, yes, back at the desk, not in the office today. We're going to talk about this evening game against Leeds today. Would it be a sackable offence if Pochettino exited both the FA Cup and the League Cup in the space of a few days? Considering we are not in any kind of top four race, it does ask the question, where are Chelsea? Where are their heads at the moment? Of course, we're coming up against Leeds United, high-flying Leeds, who have won 11 of their 12 games in 2024. So this year, they've dropped 2 points. They're in sensational form. They've just come off a win, I believe, away against Leicester City, who are top of the championship. So they're just behind them now. Oh, no, they're at home, at Ellen Road. They beat them 3-1 though. I know the goals were late, but league leaders 3-1. So essentially Leeds are on for automatic promotion straight back into the Premier League. They've won 11 out of 12 games, only drawing 1 there. And they're a lot better. They're one of the form sides in English football at the moment. This will be a huge test for Chelsea and the psychology of the players, where they are at. And we're going to talk about that today. I've built a lineup as well. I think I'll do a complete breakdown sitting here again, but I'll be back for Chelsea news in the office studio very, very soon indeed. So thank you for joining me, sticking with me in these turbulent times. We will be back, I'm certain, at some point. It will take some growing pains, as always, but Chelsea are in a very long transitional period, but it kind of makes sense in many ways. But we're going to get through it together, so thank you for liking, and thank you for subscribing to this channel, Football Therapy. Alright, gang. I'm just going to read a little bit of an article here from Nizar Kinsella of The Standard, and then we'll talk about how we can go about this game, and then sort of bring it on home. What would it mean to lose this game? Chelsea have lost, and this is the big news, of course. Chelsea have lost Nkunku to an injury ahead of Leeds' visit to Stamford Bridge in the FA Cup this evening. The £53 million signing from RB Leipzig has suffered his third setback of the season. He'll be out for maybe like a month. I mean, his whole first season's a write-off. It's been like a couple of moments where he's come off the bench, scored goals. Oh yeah, he's great. Started games, didn't look fit. And then even come off the bench and not look fit. So it's tough. It's super tough, man. It's a major blow to Chelsea, of course. We lost the cup final to Liverpool. Let's try and speak not much of that if we can. So Nkunku joins Thiago Silva, Reece James, Cucurella, Badiashile, Fofana, Chukwuemeka, Lavia, and Ugochukwu on the injury room. On the injury room? On the injury bench? Injury bed? Injury place. The injury land, aka Chelsea Football Club. Pochettino has a few options to rotate at 120 minutes. So I'm going to show you my lineup in just a second. I think because this is like, you have to win this, he's just going to go for his first choice again, I think, right? I do think he's going to go for his first choice again if they can get enough recovery. But it's not just physiological or physical recovery. Of course, it's mental. It's the fallout. You've lost a final. How do you react to that? Do you harness that disappointment and come back swinging, against an opponent you should beat despite them being in form? Or do you collapse? And, what do Leeds do as well? So like I said, Leeds are in sensational form themselves. They have a couple of ex-Chelsea men in there. Of course, Patrick Bamford, who's not actually first choice at the moment. I think he's at 31 now. The wonder kid is finally into his 30s. Of course, Ethan Ampadu at the back, playing as a central defender, looks like, for Leeds. Certainly their 3-1 win against Leicester. He can obviously play in midfield. I believe he actually played right back for us for Sarri at one point, Ethan Ampadu. But he's playing very well for Leeds, so I'm very... I'll be pleased for him. They've got Nonto and Somerville, Premier League proven wingers, I'd say. Certainly very exciting. And it's Daniel Farke who can play very attacking football and win the championship with attacking football. So they'll pose a threat, but it's going to be really interesting because how's this going to go down? How are these young Chelsea players going to react? Like I spoke about in my complete breakdown, how I feel they failed to sort of the big player test, which is more of a sort of less of a criticism and more of a just an analysis of where they are at, these young players being thrown together. But this is how I think we're gonna play. Let's have a look. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. So yes, pretty much super strong again. I think Petrovic keeps his place in goal, and I've got Gilchrist there, but I do think it will be Disasi. Let's just bring on Disasi. There we go. So I do think it'll be the same back four. Chile left back, because they'll want to prove themselves again. They'll tell the gaffer we're good to go again. Give us this opportunity to show at Stamford Bridge in front of our fans, and probably the Chelsea owners, you'd have to admit, if they've been down for the weekend for the cup final, you think they'd stay down in England for a few more days for this home FA Cup tie, such a massive game at Stamford Bridge. So I do think the back four will remain Colwill, Disasi, Chile, and the magnificent Gusto of late, who is excellent. Maybe not at Wembley, because you had a few poor touches like here, didn't he, when he received the ball and was putting it out to touch. Hopefully back at Stamford Bridge, he'll feel like he can express himself. I feel a bit safer. I think he played well at Wembley, but these little nervy moments, because he's 20 years old, I believe, Gusto. So, give him a chance to not have those nervy moments. And the midfield three, again, I just think it's going to be the same three again, which is good. They're, in theory, an excellent midfield trio. It's just how knackered are they going to be, where their head's going to be at. They remain all very young, of course. You don't have this one senior guy with a couple of youngsters. Fernandes and Caicedo, I think both 22. Gallagher might be 23 as the senior one in there, like his number. These are kids, bro. These are young guys, and they've lost their first cup final, I think. So it's tough. I do see Palmer, he's the one non-negotiable in the attack. He will start on the right. Jackson will start down the middle, especially now we know Nkunku is injured. I mean, you could make a case for another front three, which I'll build on in just a second. And Mudryk. I think Mudryk deserves a start, not because he's been playing necessarily well. Off the bench, he doesn't look great, but if he can't get a start at home against the championship side in the FA Cup, then it's rough for him. It's tough. There will be space to run in behind Leeds United as well. They're quite a transitional team themselves, so they will afford space in behind to run. But saying that, if Pochettino thinks this is the game of my life, I need to go completely with the players I've trusted lately, there is a chance you could see this. Jackson left wing, Palmer full slot 9, and of course we could see Madueke, who did look alright at Wembley when he came on and looked okay generally, at right wing. It kind of makes a bit of a diamond that way as well. It's more of a 4-3-3 rather than Gallagher playing in the number 10, because if you play a number 10 and a false 9, they're like this. They're like on top of each other. So I think it's a little bit more asymmetrical 4-3-3, and then you see that kind of diamond, don't you, like between the middle four players. Madueke dribbling, getting to the byline, cutting back. Jackson making a little bit more inverted runs, and Palmer running around free as a bird. Regardless, especially with the injury to Nkunku, I think you'd see substitute appearances from Mudryk to play on the left. I think you probably will see Sterling come off the bench. I don't think he'll be trusted to start. He was poor at Wembley. Even though he got the goals against Man City, I think the sun is setting on Sterling's time. I think there's going to be big questions about him in the summer. Unless, of course, there is a new coach. And that new coach says, can you keep Raheem Sterling? Because I think I could do something with him. Then maybe the owners try to keep him. But he'll be a very hard player to sell, Sterling. And I want to reiterate, I don't dislike Sterling. I just think it was a mistake signing him, especially on such high wages. So yes, I think you would see Sterling and Mudryk feature off the bench. I don't know, who else could we see? We could probably see Gilchrist and Trevoh Chalobah, and we don't really have any midfielders to play at the moment, so that's probably the players that will feature. There'll be tired legs out there, there'll be tired minds, and there'll be nerves, possibly. Look, Chelsea should be, despite Leeds' excellent form, and they are in excellent form, 11 out of 12 games won this year is incredible, with only 2 points dropped, and then just beating the league leaders handily like that a few days ago. The only thing that we can hope for is they do play a lot of games. They've got quite a lot of congestion, so Daniel Farke will probably be thinking, my absolute biggest task here from my employers is get back in the Premier League. If I can do that, it's a massive plus, especially with the other teams that have got relegated, and the fact how Ipswich look quite good, don't they? That he's it's very much that if you finish in the top 2, mate, absolutely job done, and here's your bonus. And of course he's got promotion before with Norwich. He's very good at making attacking teams get promoted from the Championship. So you might look at it and go, right, well, if that's plan A, if that's objective A, then this Chelsea game in the middle of a bunch of games isn't really what I want. But he could also see it as an opportunity, like a boon to his season, because he's had multiple days more rest than Chelsea. Not only that, Chelsea played 120 minutes. Not only that, Chelsea have got a bunch of young players that will be emotionally affected one way or another from a cup final loss that they probably should have won. How are they going to react to that? So it's up to Farke to identify what he wants to do here. Does he want to seize an opportunity and say, right, this Chelsea, it doesn't matter that we're away to Chelsea, the £1 billion blue boys. I'm not going to say the other word. We've got an opportunity here to make us look really good because we can beat them, Maybe he thinks that, and maybe he thinks, you know what, man, let's just rotate a bit, take the pressures off as a free hit. We might even still beat them, with a rotated side, because the players I bring in, I say, look, go express yourselves. These guys are going to be all over their minds are going to be all over the gaff. Do you know what I mean? Go and just do your thing. So we might better beat them. Or does he go for it? Either way, I don't think he's going to straight up throw in the towel. But, yeah, man. I think we'll win, actually. I do think we'll win. I think despite them being in really good form, I think we will try and channel that energy and that pain of loss and into a win here at home, Stamford Bridge. It will be massively on the Stamford Bridge faithful if there's good support, which there could be, but midweek's tough sometimes, but it is under the lights. If there's good support for the players, then they can harness that sort of feeling at Stamford Bridge, because there will be a really strong away support for Leeds. 6,000 fans really giving it some, but if Chelsea can give them good support, then the players should be able to harness that. And like I said, stylistically, I think we've got what it takes to beat them. God, how far we've come, ladies and gentlemen. But this is just where we are at the moment, and we have to accept it. I do see us conceding a goal, but maybe winning 3-1. And then we can just try and rebuild, see what we can do in the Premier League table, and develop the season from there. And it will be expected. It'll be like, good, Chelsea got a good win. They needed that. They can get back on the horse and see where they are with Pochettino. But should we lose, that is the season over. Morale, it will have echoes of last season very, very quickly. I mean, of course, the season ended later last campaign because we were in the Champions League later, I believe. But the season would end because they will think, well, we're not in any competitions. We can't win the Premier League. We can't get into Champions League through Premier League. We're not in any other competition. We're not in Europe. We're not in either of the domestic cups. And we've seen how this crop of players can be affected by that. I know a lot of these players are new, so like in this 11 I'm looking at now, Jackson, Palmer, Caicedo, of course Chilwell's injured quite a lot last season, Gusto's only just joined up, Disasi's new, Petrovic is new, so a lot of the players are new actually, but still, some of these players we've seen that they can throw the towel in once the season's theoretically over for them, and that will cause massive issues. This is interesting, listening to a clip I heard from Alex Goldberg of the Byline, a friend of mine, saying Pochettino is Bedadik Barley's guy, like that out of the ownership. And let's be real, Bedadik Barley is the representation of Clear Lake, which is the the big majority owners of Chelsea Football Club. He's the one who wants Pochettino. It's his guy who got, I guess he will protect him. Look, I don't think there's any value in sacking Pochettino. Let's get that right. I haven't got any agenda here. I must be honest with you guys. I feel like sacking him would achieve nothing. Actually, it would just create a disharmony. And not only that, say we do lose to Leeds and we sack him, what's the new guy going to do? He's going to do what Frank Lampard last season and pick up a bunch of demotivated players, and that's going to do him no good. And then you just go round and round again, and then you get a new Pochettino-style manager who gets a full pre-season and gets a new shiny signing like an Nkunku and hopefully doesn't get injured. Do you know what I mean? And you just sort of go round and round again. I don't think he'll be sacked I don't think he'll be sacked until he just won't get sacked, basically. Unless the players actively revolt and like refuse to play for him, and you can just see they've all gone, they're not having the manager anymore. Then you've got to get rid of him. But until that won't happen, touch wood, because we've got some sort of professionals. So it will be an analysis at the end of the summer. But yeah, the headlines will be written how Chelsea's season is over. Though I don't think that will happen. look, it was a disappointment, the the League Cup final, and it is a missed opportunity. But that does happen, especially with young players. You know, if that was like the Chelsea golden generation of experienced elite Galacticos, you'd go, what are you doing? But you got to take a breath and be like, right, it's a missed opportunity. It's frustrating, but they are still young players. Give them time. Give them time to taste winning after tasting this loss. See where they go from there, you know? I do think we'll win, and I think we'll win about 3-1, and I think there'll be an opportunity for Chelsea to develop and move forwards. I think the pressure will be off a little bit, and they'll just start trying to play their games in the league. They're not in a cup final anymore. They've felt the pain of loss. They don't want to feel that again. They got to believe in each other and show that they can play football for each other, essentially. So that's my preview. I usually do it the day before, not on the day, but I just wanted to... I'm breaking all the rules at the moment, man. Why the ruddy heck not? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Thank you for liking and subscribing, and hopefully see you guys back here soon. Hopefully. Peace.